Hello! David Lynch here. John and Liam are supposed to be opening the show as usual, but they've asked me to act as a stand-in while they deal with some technical difficulties in the Hall of Pain boiler room. It's the Christmas special episode too, so this really is a little unfortunate. I haven't even had a chance to prepare anything. But maybe this could be a great opportunity. Those boys have kept me locked in my cell for so long I haven't had a chance to flex my creative muscles. And despite all of my movies, TV shows, albums, and deranged modern art projects, I've never tried my hand at a podcast before. Let's see, who would make a good co-host? Michael Myers? Nope, bit shy. Cthulhu? Nope, too big a language barrier. Aha! Count Dracula! Fancy presenting the Christmas special episode with me?
Sure. Thanks for asking me. We could be the next big thing in podcasting.
What the heck was that noise?
I'm not sure. I hope John and Liam get that boiler repaired soon. It's so cold in here, I can't stop coughing.
Hey, maybe we should garlic at what's going on down there.
I do the puns here, Lynch. Wow, that didn't sound good. The stakes seem to be getting higher.
There must be some real gremlins in the machine.
Wait, can you hear Christmas carols?
It's coming this way. Oh my god, what the hell are they? You know the Gremlins sing the carols bit,
yeah.
And it's like, I was just fade that in basically.
Was that right? I kind of forgot I had to do my impression.
It was brilliant. Good. Yeah, one take. I'll edit all that bit out. Right, hang on. Bear with. Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Christmas special 2020 edition of Dark Natter, the podcast where we take the creepiest, scariest examples of dark fiction, get them wet, and feed them after midnight. I'm John Richter.
And I'm Count Dracula. Do I still have to be Dracula? Or?
You can if you want.
I'll just be Liam.
Which do you find easier?
Dracula.
Do you identify more as Dracula?
Yeah.
That's because... Oh, this links back because we had that ongoing storyline about you having a blood addiction.
Which we ditched off immediately.
The timings got all messed up, didn't we? Because we had a couple of guests on. But we missed you. Or I missed you. There's no we, is there, if you're not me? It was just me on my own.
I find that hard to believe.
What, that I missed you?
You prick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to be polite.
Pussy.
It's Christmas, isn't it?
Reading out all the catchphrases.
I had to be dead professional as well, didn't I? With proper guests. Now I've got you. It's back to just scummy muckabout, innit?
Son of a bitch.
Phoned in.
Prick.
Well, what are we?
I've researched this time.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's the first time for everything.
There's only 2 movies, so.
Yeah. When you say research, you mean you've watched Gremlins and Gremlins 2.
Yeah, I did it years ago.
Very good. And there's a text adventure.
There is, which I tried, but I didn't get very far.
When I played that the first time, when you died on it, which happened a lot, as I recall, it used to show like a really craply drawn grave that obviously said R.I.P. on it. But as a kid, I didn't know what that meant, so I thought RIP was like the manner of your death. Oh, he got ripped by a gremlin. So I thought graves all had the specifics on of how they died. And
so a lot of people getting ripped apart.
Everyone was getting ripped. That was it. I was disappointed when you didn't go into a cemetery and sing.
Should we get on with it?
Yeah, we probably should. What we're here for?
Only joking.
Why are we here?
So, who am I? Did we say who we are?
You're Liam.
I'm Liam.
Or Dracula.
Okay, I'll be Liam.
And I'm John or Dave, depending on whether you know that my real name's Dave or not.
What, David Lynch?
Oh, yeah, or Dave. No,
Yeah.
it's like, we should probably... Do we have to do a disclaimer that isn't the real... Because the impression is so good that people probably think
I
that's
think we
real.
just pretend it was the real...
Yeah, that's even better, actually. Yeah, that was David Lynch. We had to...
Yeah.
You know, we look at the lengths we've gone to entertain you folks. Speaking of entertaining people, we are here to dissect, dismember, dismantle, discuss your favourite works of dark fiction.
Absolutely.
As always. And as always, one of us will pitch to t'other a preferred work, which we'll then have a chat about and decide whether it's worthy of place in the hallowed halls of the Hall of Pain. It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Good to have you back. Do you need to get your breath?
I need to cough a little bit, actually. Lucky we're doing this remotely.
Good point, yeah. And I think this time it's my turn to
Well,
pitch
it's
to
a
you.
very festive special, isn't it?
Correct, and I have got quite the festive special lined up to hurl towards
What are we going to
you.
do next year?
We run out of dark fiction.
Anyway, carry
We've
on.
done Black Christmas,
Yeah.
and now, as of in about an hour, we'll have done Gremlins.
Well, hey.
Now, this is, we've all slagged off this word before, haven't we? Franchise. Is this a franchise, or
I'm
is it
not
just
sure.
a film with a sequel? Do you know what I mean? Does it matter?
Well, I don't care about the franchise thing as much as you do.
It
You
just
really-
bugs me
Yeah,
for some
I know,
reason. As soon
yeah.
as something, hey, it's the franchise,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Let's
good-
say it's not them. Let's say,
just
yeah.
a movie
Yeah.
and its sequel
And a sequel. And a
its
few video games.
text
and
adventure spin-off
merchandise.
and rafts of merch. Yeah, loads of merch,
So-
wasn't it? And actually, loads of pets that were named after Gizmo. That's at school.
true,
You'd be like,
actually,
"Oh,
yeah.
what's your dog called?" And they'd be like, "Oh, it's called Gizmo." Well, you and the 20 other people. Jackass.
Sounds like a franchise to me.
And sounds like I'm jealous because I wasn't allowed to call my cat Gizmo, which is true.
And you never used to feed it, did you?
That's why it's dead. I mean, for the record, that cat is dead, but it isn't dead because I...
Didn't feed it after midnight. When's the cut-off point in that as well? Like, when is it acceptable to feed it again? When the sun comes up, I guess. Or...
They don't. It doesn't make. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's a stupid story. It's not realistic.
And you never washed your cat either, did you? Didn't want to get it wet.
My cat never drank any water. I thought it was Gizmo. That's why it went wrong.
He didn't really kill his cat.
Or at least I'm not owning up to it on a podcast. No, I didn't. I've never killed it. I like cats. I like orange. Gremlins. Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
It is.
Not even going to enter into the debate of is it or isn't it a Christmas movie. It's set at Christmas, hence
Yeah.
it's a Christmas movie.
It's not a film about Christmas.
It's set
But
at
it's
Christmas
set at
and it has
Christmas.
Christmas songs in
It does, yeah.
as well, which makes
Is it more of a Christmas film than Die Hard?
Oh,
That's the one,
oh,
isn't it? That's
bloody hell. Are there any people who actually think Die Hard is not a Christmas movie?
Yeah,
Still,
me.
What?
Yeah.
Eh?
It's not about Christmas.
But it's got Christmas in Hollis on the soundtrack. This time of year we bust Christmas carols. It's the best Christmas song.
Just my opinion.
I can't ever... I mean, we're at the point now where I can never tell when you're taking the piss.
I
or
don't
not.
even know anymore. I don't actually know.
You just take whatever the opposite opinion of the general consensus is.
I'm just a big prick.
That's what I'm implying. Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
It is I'll give you that. It's a Christmas movie.
Not the sequel, though. That is not a Christmas movie.
Which is a shame, but it is what it is.
But we'll come to that
We will.
in good time. Before we launch into this detail, maybe to just skate over the preamble.
Yep.
Gremlins came out in 1984, produced by Steven Spielberg, who was
God.
still doing a bit of had he done E.T. by that point?
Yeah, didn't E.T. wasn't that 1982?
But he'd done stuff like his first movie is Jewel, isn't it? The one with the feuding truck driver. So he's done some dark stuff, and this almost occupies a bit of a weird middle ground, doesn't it, between cute kids movie and scary horror film. But directed by Joe Dante, and starring Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Corey Feldman.
He's in all of them.
Friend of the show.
Yeah.
He's not a friend of the show, but we've spoken about him on the show.
He seems to pop
Crop up.
He's in a lot more
Stuff.
than I actually realised.
Yeah.
I knew he was in a lot of stuff that I like, But then there's a lot of other things that I'd forgotten about.
Like Friday the 13th 4 or whatever he was in.
Yeah.
But,
and Gremlins, I'd forgotten he was in Gremlins. So.
Although, I've chucked this in dead quick before I forget. Corey Feldman is in one of my favourite films of all time, which is The Burbs.
Lost Boys.
Well, there's that as well. One of yours, yeah. And there are 4 actors from The Burbs in Gremlins 2, and a song from The Burbs soundtrack that they apparently put in Gremlins 2 as a placeholder, and then just forgot to delete it.
Oh, right.
That's weird, isn't it?
That is
like
weird,
this idea of like the same team was working on 2 movies at the same time, maybe.
I like that.
It's kind of a little nugget. So that's Gremlins. And then at Gremlins 2, as we sort of touched on, that was a 1990 movie where Joe Dante was given complete creative control as part of the deal to persuade him to be asked to make a sequel.
Certainly made the most out of that, didn't he?
By making an absolute, literally batshit crazy, bonkers, mad film. But we'll come to that. We'll get to that. So first Gremlins then. Where to start?
A horror movie for kids? Question mark.
My view is it is a horror movie. It is a horror movie. It has got scary bits in, and the first time you watch it, it's scary, especially if you're a kid when you watch it.
Yeah. It was technically a 15, wasn't it? But
I think I read that this, because obviously we have different ratings in the UK. Like for any American listeners, we have U, which is universal for anyone. There's even one U with a little C that's like it's aimed at little kids.
It's like if you're
baby.
If you're watching this as
you're weird.
If
you're watching this on your own as an adult, you need to be in prison.
Yeah.
Then we've got PG, which is parental guidance, which is like it's got a bit of swearing. You know, someone might get scratched with a bit of blood, bit of violence. And then we used to jump straight to a 15.
Yes.
And then they kind of introduced the 12.
The 12, yeah.
And the 12A, which is even more confusing. That's
wishy-washy shit, yeah.
Like you're allowed to watch it at any age as long as you've got someone over 12 with you.
Yeah.
And then an 18 is like a proper film, innit?
Yeah, that's what we want. Yeah.
And then I get confused about America, but they've got the thing called PG-13.
Yeah.
And I think I'm right in saying Gremlins was responsible for that getting invented.
Oh, wow.
But we should fact check that, but I'm going to throw it out.
But
I'm throwing it out. There you go. It's a fact. You can fact check it, audience. Let me know if you don't agree. So yeah, and because it does occupy like a weird.
It does, yeah. It's like I said, it was a 15 in the UK, the uncut version. But for me, I view it as kind of being a kids' film, but
it does have a body count.
It does, and that's what I say. It's a horror movie for kids. In my opinion.
I'm happy with that description.
Yeah.
And I think and I wish there were more like it because it's ace.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like there's the bit. I mean, maybe just to quickly skate over the plot for anyone who wants a reminder. Rand Peltzer is the eccentric, overweight inventor looking for a present for his kid. You get the impression he's a bit skint because he's always inventing shite inventions that don't work. So he's looking for something he can get as a bit of a bargain. He goes to China, to stereotype Chinatown.
Really stereotypical, isn't
ridiculous. Gets dragged into like an underground shop by... It's like the proprietor is this really old guy. I think it's called Mr. Wing. But it's like his grandson is trying to tout for business out in the street. So Rand Peltzer gets dragged in. And of course he doesn't want any of the crap and knickknacks and stuff. But he sees this strange creature in a cage, which we later find out is called a mogwai.
Good band.
Which is where the band got the name from. Yeah. They must have been Gremlins fans. And Mr. Wing's giving it the old, no, mogwai, not for sale. And he's like, I gotta have it. And the little kid basically gives him the, let's meet around the back. The old man doesn't know what he's talking about. So the kid flogs him the mogwai. And then there's a slightly weird editing bit where the kid doesn't tell him the rules. It just shows a slow motion footage of Rand Peltzer walking off down the street with the cage. And then they dub over what sounds like a different kid telling him like the 3 rules. It's almost like they forgot to film a bit and had to just lob it in the cutting bit. That's a bit weird. Maybe the rules were going to be a surprise and they decided to introduce them later as like a dub over.
Possibly.
And those rules, what are the rules, Liam? You remember them?
So, no feeding it after midnight.
Yeah.
Which we've already established there are problems with that.
Yeah,
but
makes fuck all sense. But that's kind of part of the joke, I guess. It's funny.
Well, so let's do them in order of... So, don't get them wet.
No, the first rule
sunlight.
is avoid... They don't like light.
Direct light.
Direct sunlight will kill them.
Yes. Second rule is don't get them wet.
Yeah.
And the third and really, really crucial rule is
never feed him after midnight.
Yeah.
But interestingly, the kid doesn't bother to tell him what the consequences of this would be.
Just tell him the consequences.
That might help him follow the rules, you know what I mean?
Or to say, actually, you know what? I don't think I want this thing. Sounds like a pain in the arse.
But maybe that's why the kid didn't tell him, because the kid wants the money.
That's true.
We don't even know if that kid gave his granddad might not have even got the cash, that little toe rag.
Yeah.
Wonder what he spent it on. Sweets.
Ne'er-do-well.
So, Rand Peltzer, we're 15 minutes into the podcast, and we've covered the first 2 minutes of the film. Rand Peltzer takes the Mogwai home, his son to his wife, she's lovely, isn't she?
Really nice.
Mrs.
Very
Peltzer.
supportive.
Just really
sympathetic.
Puts up with his shit and his crap inventions. And they've got a kid who is Billy. Who's
how old is Billy, by the way? I couldn't.
They talk about him as if he's about 15. And he looks about 26.
Yeah, and he works in a bank.
So, like, they act as if he's like at college, but he's not at college because he's got a job in a bank.
Yeah,
it is a bit
very strange, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I know in the UK we leave school when we're 16, and in America they seem to stay at school till they're about 40. So
maybe I don't know.
Maybe I've just alienated.
You have
one of our listeners probably. So I apologise. I might edit that out. Nah. Let's see what happens. But yeah, despite that thing where American kids stay in school a bit later, he still looks too old to be. I don't know, there's something a bit off about the casting.
Yeah.
But having said that, I really like Zach Gallagher as Billy.
Him.
He does a good job. He's like a likeable chap, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he works in a bank. He gets treated like garbage by his horrible boss, who's that slime ball from... isn't he in... oh, God, what's the film with Eddie Murphy?
Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, isn't he in that?
Well, there's the one guy, the young guy.
The young sleazeball guy.
But that's not his boss, is it?
That's
his mate, I thought.
I think... I'm not sure he's not the bank manager.
Judge Reinhold.
Yeah, but he's not the bank manager. But he is the bank manager's golden boy.
Right. Because he acts like he's very successful.
Yeah.
But not really in it that much.
No. He doesn't even get killed off.
Yeah.
He gets established as a character and then there's no payoff.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is a bit... Good point. That's a bit weird.
Yeah, I didn't know that was his boss, per se. I was thinking the older guy.
You're probably right. The other guy maybe is a more senior colleague who is, early 20s, doing a lot better. The point being to contrast his successful executive lifestyle with Billy's like shambolic one with his daft dad, and Billy likes drawing pictures, doesn't he? He's like an wannabe artist. And also, of course, in that opening scene with the bank is Mrs. Deagle.
Yeah,
who comes in, the horrible old bitch who's like, she's like the local tycoon almost, landlady.
Just a nasty piece of work.
Pushes her way to the front of the queue.
Yeah.
And then, so she...
And she wants to kill his
dog attacks her in the bank because he's irresponsibly brought his dog in.
And apparently, doesn't it keep shitting on her lawn?
Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah,
and she wants to kill it.
And it breaks imported fake snowman. Who has a fake... Just build a snowman.
And also, surely... She doesn't strike me as the sort of person that, would want to spread Christmas cheer. So why has she got...
A snowman at all? Doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, so she's...
Anyway, we like it, despite what I'm saying.
And then,
I'm picking a lot of holes in it.
It's good. I like this. It's your job. Well, if I'm the pitcher, you're the pitchee. You've got to act as the gatekeeper. We can't let any old crap into the Hall of Pain, apart from all the crap that's already in there.
Literally everything.
There we go. So anyway, Billy gets the gift from his dad, and he is happy.
Christ, we've only got this far.
Opening minute. Gizmo is lovely, isn't he? Cute,
really cute.
Sings
Really
a cute song.
Yeah.
And it's puppetry, isn't it? Jim Henson? The puppets? Is it the same?
I assume so.
Muppetry?
Check.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it is.
It looks like one.
So as we've touched on in the past on the show, I flipping hate CGI and I like real puppets and Gremlins. Although it does have a little bit of CGI when it's necessary, the bulk of it is puppetry, and therefore the creatures look like they're really there and you can really touch them, and it's real and it's better. So cute Gizmo, this is established. And then, as you might expect, the rest of the film is just they mess up and break each rule one by one. So They thankfully don't expose Gizmo to sunlight, because then he'd be dead and there wouldn't be much of a film, but they quickly establish they've got to keep him in the dark. Then there's a scene where Corey Feldman comes around and spills some water on his head.
Yeah.
And that's where Gizmo multiplies. We find out that if you get them wet, little balls pop out of his back.
Looks really painful.
Looks horrible. That seems really
It's like burning.
disturbing. And they grow immediately into alternate Mogwai.
Yeah.
All of whom look identical to Gizmo, except one that's got like a mohawk stripe on its head. Except the other ones are all
a bit
horrible shitbags.
Yeah, they're a bit nasty looking, aren't they? Yeah.
One of them, Striped spits, just does a big... just spits on the floor for no reason. It's
weird, isn't it? He's the only kind of nice one. I don't...
Yeah, Gizmo, the originator, is the nice one, but all his offspring are bad. And Gizmo doesn't act... He's not, oh, great, I've got some brothers and brothers. He's like, oh, no, not a... You get the impression that this has happened before, which it probably has.
Probably. Mass slaughter
of his kind.
Down things.
There was a book, there was like a spin-off novel that I had because I loved it so much when I was a teenager, and that had this whole backstory about them being aliens and like talking about Gizmo's home planet and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's quite interesting.
I remember it being good. Yeah. But it probably isn't if you read it back. And then, just before we get on to the next rule break, perhaps just to quickly touch on a couple of other characters. Mr. Futterman is who coins the term Gremlins. Tell us about Mr. Futterman.
He's an interesting character, isn't he?
He is. It's kind of unclear whether he's meant to be a good guy or a bad guy.
I feel like because he's kind of like, he's a drunk, isn't he? And it's like you kind of feel sorry for him, but then he's quite racist. He's paranoid.
He constantly talks about like foreign. He's on about foreign parts, foreign TV, foreign cars, and you can't trust these foreign parts.
And he's a bit of a conspiracy nut, isn't he?
Yeah, correct. I think he's convinced that these foreign manufacturers. He doesn't specify any specific country to keep it a bit light, but he's like, they put all the gremlins in the machines.
I feel like, was it not implied that it was like Russia?
But I don't think it states Russia.
Doesn't it? Okay.
I might be wrong.
But it could also be China, I suppose, couldn't it? Yeah.
But I suppose I think they're just trying to make it's almost like a pun in it. I think the film's maybe trying to be like a reflection of how over dependent we are on technology. So you've got like Rand Peltzer with his crap inventions, the Gremlins start sabotaging things, as we'll get to.
True, yeah.
But it's still a bit weird because Futterman is basically a racist.
It's like you said, it is hard. They don't make it clear whether we're supposed to like him or dislike. Because I actually quite liked him, but not because of the racism, of course.
Just because he's kind of like a well-meaning old man you feel sorry for because he's in the pub on his own getting drunk every night.
And I feel like in the second one he's supposed to be. It's a bit clearer that he's someone we should like.
Yeah, he's presented in the second one as a good guy.
But in the first one, it is a little bit.
Despite dying in the first one. Because it's pretty clear that he dies, and then they just spin that off and brought him back in the sequel with like a sling, as if
a bit like our Bloodlust storyline.
Exactly, right. We just scrapped it.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say whether I like I said I kind of liked him, but then
they do give him a comeuppance in the way that you would give a comeuppance to a villain. So I suppose that's what makes him quite a complex character, which is why he's interesting.
Yeah,
and he's in the Burbs as a bin man.
He is in the Burbs. Yeah.
I pick up garbage from cans, not from the street, he says. And the other character worth touching on, of course, is Kate, who is Billy's sort of girl who he likes, basically.
Yeah.
She works in the local bar. Phoebe Cates, who plays Kate and was also in Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah.
She is, charming. She is just lovely.
She's in, Fast Times at Ridgemont High as well, where, I think she was a bit of a teen idol.
Yeah, well, and I suppose I've only ever seen her in a couple of things. She wasn't in the Burbs, actually, once. But she comes across as just the nicest,
really nice,
lovely person, beautiful. She's charismatic, funny. She's like that. There's like a scene where Billy asks her out on a date, and it's like what would normally be like quite a slushy, cheesy scene manages to come across as like really nice and sweet, just because they're both so likable, and you're like, good for you guys. And then it obviously gets ruined by all the monsters. Well, so far, we've introduced some characters. We've wet a Mogwai and got some extra Mogwai. One of them ends up in the local... Oh, one other character, sorry. One of the Mogwai ends up at the school.
Yes.
Because Billy's still at school.
Yeah.
Or he knows the teacher. He's friends with the teacher.
It's a bit...
confusing.
Ambiguous, isn't it?
And
his
guy,
mates with Feldman, who's really young.
who's like not 10.
Yeah.
Something odd.
Billy.
You know, that actor's a bit weird as well. Like, he's still touting... He turns up to, like, live shows of Gremlins, and he's, like, touting around his Gremlins 3 script. And he when he tweets, he's, like, tweets in character as Billy and talks to Gizmo and stuff. We'll get him on the show and find out what's going on. I hope he's okay. Maybe it's Mr. Futterman trying to frame him.
Could be.
Hang on, wait. Oh, yeah, school teacher. So, I've forgotten the character's name, I apologise. But the school teacher, he's like a biology teacher.
Yeah.
So, Billy's like, hey, check out these weird animals that I've created. And the teacher's like, oh, I'm going to run some tests on him. So, he's keeping one in a cage in his lab. So, that's kind of the setup.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what happens?
So, it's implied that they set the clock.
They sabotage the clock.
So they're fed, and it turns out to be after midnight. So then they kind of go into like a cocoon, don't they?
Whoa.
And really horrible
green slime
putrid,
everywhere. Yeah.
And of course they, I don't know, are born again as gremlins, really like violent,
2 foot tall, green,
sort of slimy, lizardy kind of
terrifying humanoid monsters that
sort of talk a bit like this.
And we all did impressions of them at school and
Billy
and all that kind of stuff.
That's quite good.
Do you want to have a go?
Hey, that could be a new character, you know?
We could have. Assuming they get into the Hall of Pain, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were commenting on this, weren't we? That we've got loads of stuff in the Hall of Pain, but not that many of them can speak. We're struggling for characters.
It does hurt your throat a bit.
He's got northern.
I don't even want to do it.
He isn't northern either.
That sounded like
Sam Allardyce.
No, the guy from the League of Gentlemen.
Barbara, the cab driver.
So yes, the pods, the cocoons are hatched, and there's I think the sequence where this reveal happens, and it's concurrently happening. One of them in the school, and let's say it's 4 or 5 of them in the house.
In the house, yeah.
Is brilliant. Like the pacing of it, it's been slow build up to this point. We're at best part of an hour into the film. You get
and the podcast,
sadly for the listeners. So you get like the guy in the school. He realizes it's burst out of the cage, so he's trying to find it.
Yeah.
The kids have just left for the day, luckily, and he can hear it going, somewhere in the dark in the back of the classroom. He's trying to entice it like a candy bar. It's just a candy bar.
Yeah.
And then cut to Billy's house where Rand Peltzer is away at like a convention. I can't remember where Billy is, but he's not there. So he's just...
Who knows? School? Yeah. His full-time job at the bank? Who knows?
Doodling something. In the pub, talking to Mr. Futterman.
Yeah, he was in the bar as well, wasn't he? Having a drink.
Doesn't make any sense. I don't know. It's like they wrote 2 characters and then just grafted them together at the last minute. With his 10-year-old mate, Corey Feldman. It's really weird. So Billy's mum... She's in deal
the
with
house
it
alone, yeah.
And there's this whole bit where, like, I've been like conditioned by one of the Gremlins puts us. You haven't seen them yet. One of the Gremlins puts us a record on, and it's like, "Do you see what I see?" And that song freaks me out.
That is really creepy, isn't it?
It's like a song, a It is a creepy song, though. I reckon, like in and of itself.
Do you reckon you'd think that
if
without
it wasn't
Gremlins,
without the association? I don't know. There's some weird Christmas songs.
Yeah.
You know that one that goes like, "Fall on your knees." That's a weird song.
I've never heard that.
It's like a carol. Na, 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 na. I only know it from South Park.
He's gone crazy.
There's that other one as well.
But I know what you mean. It's a bit creepy. Yeah.
What's the Paul McCartney Christmas song? And it starts and it sounds like almost like a stabbing scene from Psycho, and it's like down, 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 down.
Yeah,
the moon is bright. Spirits.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound festive at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never thought that. Now you've put that. Yeah,
ruined. What's your best Christmas song?
Probably the Pogues.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I do like that
one.
I quite like Mariah Carey.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. Wizard. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm a bit over that one now, though.
He kicks a kid up the arse in the video. Yeah, it's like he's giving it like a, you pesky scamps, and then one of the actual kids is like walking past the singer, just boots him.
It's a different time, wasn't it?
What was that about?
The
Gremlins.
Crips have done one.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Can't remember. I've only just
Cribsmas.
found out about it like today.
Yeah. It's good on them.
Yeah.
Can't believe they're still going, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're older than us. And we're ancient. So, if you've never listened to the Cribs, British three-piece band from Wakefield, highly recommended.
There's another indie band as well, the Ravenettes.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a Christmas song.
I think
it's really good, actually.
I think I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've got, like, all their albums. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good song. I can't remember what it's called, though. But anyway.
We'll come back to that. It's a festive episode. That was a permissible diversion.
Exactly, yeah. Right, Gremlins.
So basically,
Yes,
she has
the creepy song, yeah.
She fends them off. One of them ends up in a blender.
That
one
is
of
a
them
bit of a
gets
trope as well, isn't
microwaved,
it? Sorry, the old record on in the
Yeah.
background.
Which is a good trope.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't know whether this was a
isn't
trope codifier or
it?
not.
Maybe.
Don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, brilliant. Really tense because
Very tense.
I'm pretty sure you haven't seen a gremlin yet, or you might see one for the first time when it bursts briefly out of the like a cupboard in the school and attacks Billy and runs off.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the glimpse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, so you've just been, oh shit.
What
was
the
that? Yeah.
fuck was that? Because this is another one of those films where it's so difficult to imagine. So, you know, Alien, we said this. Everyone knows what the Xenomorph looks like. Everyone knows what the Gremlins look like.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I think people have kind of slightly misremembered it as just, it's just a kid's film. Because these things are not scary when you've seen them. But if you're watching this for the first time in the cinema and you didn't know what Gizmo's siblings were going to turn into, I think the Gremlins are quite scary.
Yeah.
The first time you see them, it's like eating all the cakes in a kitchen and
razor
smashing
sharp
stuff.
teeth.
Yeah, claws. Starts throwing knives, like plates.
Yeah.
Sorry, not knives. It's crockery. It throws crockery at her. So they are violent and murderous. They're not just like mischievous. They do try to kill people.
Yeah, and succeed.
And succeed in a little bit. But she manages to survive because she microwaves one of
Yeah.
She's fucking bloodthirsty as well. Stabs one to death with a kitchen knife, microwaves one, lobs one in a blender.
She's like
A psycho.
the John Rambo of this, yeah.
She is. And then she gets...
Actually, that's a little nod to the sequel as well.
He
the
does.
Rambo,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, sorry about
Nice
that.
film. She gets attacked by one of them in a Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah.
And then Billy comes in just in time to get a sword that they've got mounted on the wall, weirdly, and chop its head off, and its head goes into the fire. So that's 4 gremlins down. Which leaves... Can't remember the one in the school.
Isn't the one in school Spike?
No, it's not. I can't remember now what happens to the one in the school, but the one... We see Spike in the window. He's just seen Billy chop the head off his mate. So this, you know, talking about Spike just spitting on the floor for no reason, just hucking a loogie. He also blows his nose on the curtains for no reason.
What a dick! Yeah.
Just a horrible prick. Blows his nose on the curtains, then smashes the window and buggers off. Billy chases him, and he's got to stop him, can't let him get wet. Of course, Spike, being a clever, canny little critter, he buggers off to, where would you go? Big source of water, the local YMCA and swimming pool. It's brilliant. It's genius.
It is. Yeah.
And Billy can't stop him. Spike jumps in the swimming pool, brilliantly holding his nose as he jumps in, which is funny. And the water's frothing and bubbling. Yeah. Billy does legs it, because you would.
Oh, definitely.
And this brilliantly sets up this kind of forgot to mention really, but the town where it's set is, I think it's called Kingston Falls. And it's just this like idyllic, small town America.
Yeah.
It's meant to be a bit like It's a Wonderful Life or whatever. And obviously now it's set up with the Gremlins, a massive army of Gremlins is just going to come and trash the place, which is ace. And they do, don't they?
And they do. And yeah, that whole sequence though, that is really the sort of horror bit, isn't it, of the film? The rest of it
gets silly.
It does get silly, and there's a lot of them, but
they do murder people.
They murder people. Yeah.
One of them, the one in the school, kills the school teacher.
Yeah,
and stabs him with a syringe because he took his blood test.
Yeah.
Futterman and his wife die.
Well,
because one of them drives a snowplow into their house, which is a bit cruel.
But apparently he was all right.
But then he comes back in the sequel, so it's okay. So we can't count that, can we? As an official body count, but
the old bag.
Mrs. Deagle's death is incredible, isn't it? Like maybe in a way, if you either already know or if you don't know, like just you've got to watch the film.
Yeah.
The whole film, in effect, is built up to that one gag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's incredible. That's where the carolers that we've used at the beginning of the episode,
That's right,
they turn
yeah.
up at her door and they're like, she's got a cat called Dollar Bill.
Has she?
She's like, come here, Dollar Bill. Oh, Dollar Bill. Like, what a weird thing
I
to
didn't
call
pick
a
up on
cat.
that. I didn't pick up on that.
Money grabbing old bag. And, yeah, whatever you'd call it, carnage ensues. Oh, there's a bit with the police. You know, we were talking on the Friday the 13th about how incompetent police officers. Yeah. There's a brilliant line where there's just two of them. There's the fat sheriff, fat lazy sheriff, and drunk deputy. And he's like, and they're just, Billy's trying to tell him, these gremlins are coming, they're going to destroy the town. They're like, yeah, sure, kid, whatever. Why don't you've had too much eggnog. And one of them says to the other, he's like, do you think that kid's drunk? And the other one's like, no, but you are. He's just drunk at work.
But then kind of instantly they start getting reports. I kind of feel like I wish they just got killed sort of straight away. Just to... Anyway.
They witness some of the carnage and they realise that Billy was telling the truth. There's a load of, there's a guy on the radio called Rockin' Ricky, and he's like, hey, you're not Rockin' Ricky fans.
Brilliant.
Gremlins have broken into his studio.
So there is quite a lot of comedy in it.
By this point, it gets really ridiculous. Like there's Gremlins smoking, Gremlins like drinking all the beer in the pub.
Yeah,
like
that's right.
Reenacting bits of films,
and she's still working in it.
She's serving them all pints. One of them's a flasher, which doesn't even make sense because they've got no genitals. But he's got like a creepy mac on, and he's like, horrible. And so Billy rescues Kate from the
pub.
Rescues her from the pub, and I think we get a bit of carnage happening. She tells that really out of place story about why she hates Christmas that is completely irrelevant to the plot
and just really depressing.
And if you were going to say one bit of the film that isn't suitable for kids, it's that bit.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, my dad fell down the chimney and broke his neck. He was trying to bring us all presents. Like, what?
Like, yeah.
It's completely out of place.
Like, I sort of did a double take when she said the story. I was like, hang on, did she just say...
Why did they leave that in?
Yeah.
But anyway, that happened.
Like, why couldn't she have just said, like, oh, my dad left us at Christmas or something?
Yeah. It was
he
just...
broke his neck trying to...
And his corpse was blocking up the chimney for days. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great story.
Jesus.
It just doesn't fit in... This film didn't need it.
Yeah, that's right. It was blocking it up, wasn't it?
And they... For God.
Jeez.
I feel like I've ruined the mood.
What she did.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kate.
Yeah. Phoebe, Kate.
Where's Drop Dead Fred when you need him?
Yeah.
And it's then established after a bit of them, hiding from the Gremlins, people dying. The Gremlins have all decided to go to the cinema
to watch Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
And they sing the theme tune, don't they? Like, so
that is pure comedy by this point.
Hey, there's a gremlin with like a popcorn box over its head and smoking a fag and just 3D glasses on. It looks fun.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you want to hang about with the Gremlins.
And then they managed to kill the lot.
Blow up the cinema.
Yeah.
To kill off the Gremlins.
But Spike went out to get some sweets, didn't he?
So he sees them all die and he's like, ah! So he's got to go and create some more. Yeah. Runs off into this, like a department store.
Yeah.
So,
and that's another creepy bit. Actually.
Just another big transition again from like comedy. Suddenly it's Billy one-on-one. He's sneaking through the store trying to find Spike. Spike's popping up on TVs.
The TV screens,
and all that stuff.
Yeah, quite creepy.
Spike attacks him. If he shoots him with other baseballs, knocks him semi-unconscious, and then attacks him with a chainsaw.
And he has a gun at one point, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got a crossbow.
Yeah.
Shoots him in the arm with a crossbow and tries to murder him with a chainsaw. It's like the tone is all over the place.
Well, that's what I mean. It
in a good way.
It's definitely, you can see there's so much of it. You think, oh yeah, kids would love that. But then, these massive tonal shifts.
Quite a few bits that you probably wouldn't show to a youngster. Yeah. That's because you're a cool dad.
Yeah.
Or an irresponsible prick. You'll be in jail.
Yeah, well, what about you? Your sisters? You used to show them all kinds of shit.
I showed them Drop Dead. I've got, just for the benefit of the listeners, I've got twin sisters who are 17 years younger than me. So I used to show them films they probably shouldn't have watched, but they were cartoon. Yeah. You know in Drop Dead Fred, that bit where he gets his head stuck in the fridge and it's like a pancake?
Yeah.
They fully just hysterically screaming and ran off. I mean, they were about 5.
Shit.
I probably shouldn't have done that. But you know when you don't know because you're like, that's not scary, it's funny.
You sick prick.
I feel bad about that. They ran away years ago. I've never seen them. They're all right, I think. Hi, Natalie and Faye. They don't listen to the show anyway.
Not surprised.
They're too busy. They're not allowed to listen to these shows in medical facilities. So Billy, and with the help of Gizmo, ultimately they're able to stop Spike, who's got a gun.
Thank God.
He's trying to jump in the fountain, but they expose sunlight to him and he melts in a disgusting
really good
skeletal blob. But great.
Brilliant, actually, special effects there.
Yeah. And then Mr. Wing turns up to take the Mogwai back off him again. Yeah. Because he finds out what's happened to the Mogwai.
And it's like, isn't it like a thing anti-Western? Like, you Westerners. And
you can't be trusted with nature's gifts. Yeah. And it's like, gifts? That thing's a bloody menace.
And also, I just remembered as well, they parodied a Mr. Wing bit in The Simpsons.
Oh, did they?
In one of the
Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah, when they get the Krusty doll.
Brilliant.
When Homer gets the Krusty doll that turns out to be
murderous.
And it's basically Mr. Wing at the beginning, But yeah, really good film.
Tremendous film. Well, obviously that's my opinion, but I love Gremlins. The first one, I've seen it umpteen times.
It's a weird one because I watched it when I was a kid, as we've established. Yes. It was kind of everyone did. Yeah. And then didn't watch it until last year again. Was like the first time in years.
What did you think of it when you rewatched it?
I thought it was great. Time? Yeah. And then I watched it again a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I did, I swear.
But it is. I think it holds up. It's not dated. It's not for kids.
Well,
it's just
some of the views of Futterman aren't.
Yeah. Apart from him, his views are dated. But worth watching, if nothing else, just to see Mrs. Deagle's. We'll tell you. She gets blasted out the window on a stair lift that's been accelerating to about 100 miles an hour by a gremlin, fiddling with the wiring. So funny. She's spinning round, screaming. Flies out the window, dies horribly. That's Mrs. Deagle.
Shouldn't have been mean, should she?
Exactly, and that's what happened to you if you buy imported snowmen. So Gremlins 2.
Now, if the first one was a horror movie for kids with a few kind of jarring tonal shifts, the second one is just batshit bonkers, isn't it?
It's not even possible to say what genre it is. Is it a comedy? Well, it is a comedy.
It's a comedy.
Yeah,
really,
sorry. That is the one thing you can say is it's a comedy.
Not really that many horror elements.
Yeah, very little.
If any.
But, I saw it described as a parody of sequels.
Wow.
So, like Joe Dante, apparently, as we said before, he had to be given, he demanded complete creative control, which is so rare. Like, I mean, think about the great directors like David Lynch. He complains about not being given the final cut on films like Dune, and that's kind of why he blames their lack of success. So, he thinks it was ruined by other interference. So most directors have to live in a world where there's other people interfering, producers, executives.
Particularly now you hear with like the Marvel films and Star Wars and so much money invested in this.
They can't afford to not prod in, stick the nose in. Joe Dante, just make whatever you want.
Yeah. And boy, did he.
He just went bonkers, didn't he? It was like he took the piss out of Gremlins, he took the piss out of films and sequels in general. It's so strange.
There's parts of it that's really actually knowingly self-aware and literally almost winking at the audience. Yeah. And then there's not really much of an actual
plot.
The first kind of half an hour, it's a normal film.
And then it's just an hour of gags.
Just gags.
Like there's even a bit where... very quickly. So the premise is, it's 6 years later, I guess, or it was filmed, it was made 6 years later. It's roughly 6 years later. Billy and Kate are an item and they live in New York now.
He's still at school full time. God, no, maybe he is, I don't know.
He's in year 9.
But also got a full-time job again.
in a big corporation. And he works... They both work,
the corporation's weird, actually, isn't it? Yeah.
Clamp...
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure what the company's called, but it's like it's like a mogul, like a Donald Trump meets Ted Turner style fictional billionaire called Daniel Clamp, and his logo is a big letter C that is literally clamping the world.
Yeah,
it's like the most arrogant logo you've ever seen.
And it's like ultra smart tech, isn't it? Like everything. It's a bit like his dad in a way.
Voice activated lifts and shredders but
a lot of it doesn't work as intended, like the revolving doors
spinning round and round.
So it's easier just to manually open the other door.
So it's kind of the same joke in a way.
Bit,
like we're over reliant on tech. There's gremlins in the machine again. That's kind of the theme, isn't it? Well, the gag, but like so because it's all set within this high-rise building that's full of hypothetical tenants that you'd find in some great big huge New York sort of building of that nature. There's a science lab in there which is run by Christopher Lee.
That's amazing.
It's brilliant. There's like a trendy salad bar and like frozen yogurt stand. Yogurt. There's also, and there's even a bit where there's a film studio and they're making. There's a film critic who is a real life film critic who slagged off Gremlins in real life,
and then the Gremlins kill him.
Yeah, so they have him reprising his role, saying the film's terrible, and then the Gremlins murder him, and he's like 10. It's a 10. This
was my favourite bit because this is the only bit I made an actual note of to talk about. Brilliant. Because when he gets, so they yank him down, don't they? Like choke him to death or something. And then it does the old, it displays like one of those screens, like, technical difficulties. Yeah. But the screen is a picture of a gremlin. Yeah. So they had time to knock up their very own technical difficulties screen.
So there's even a bit where...
Hilarious.
And apparently this was different in the cinema from what was on the video. So in the cinema, the film just stops halfway through as if the film is broken. And then after a while of genuinely potentially thinking, oh, the film, there's a problem with the movie, the Gremlins start making like finger puppets on the screen, and one of them does like an Abe Lincoln, and it's like, and then Hulk Hogan turns up and threatens the Gremlins to restart the film,
which they do.
It's just stupid. It's just on the video. Apparently, it was tracking problems with your video machine.
Oh wow, they changed it.
And it's John Wayne who threatens them, not Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
So if you have an old original VHS, you get a different bit.
So the one I saw was Hogan.
The one that
but maybe when I was a kid I saw the other one, I just can't remember.
Yeah, I pass. I seem to remember it as always being Hogan, but and of course as a kid Hulk Hogan.
We love wrestling, don't we? But
so
just absolutely madness.
Gizmo gets wet. Some more little shits turn up. One of them happens to be Spike all over again. And then they get fed after midnight. They manage to feed themselves after midnight, I think, and the Gremlins are unleashed quite quickly early on in the movie.
Yeah, they're there for a long time. The best one is what we should probably go back and
clarify a little bit about.
So they're working at this. Well, she's like a guide for the building, isn't she?
And he's actually got a job as an artist, almost like an architectural kind of concept artist. So good on him.
But he annoyed me a bit in this one because his immediate superior is like really horrible to him, but when the big boss sees his work and likes it, she suddenly like comes onto him and takes him out, and then like puts a foot on his crotch and everything.
Yeah, suddenly she goes from treating him like garbage to
and she's a real New York sort of yuppie star.
Yeah,
and but then
Marla was it? Is that her name? I think
that's her name. But then he tells his girlfriend that, like, why don't you just tell her? Oh look, I'm going out.
Yeah, he sort of gets himself in trouble unnecessarily.
Yeah, it really annoyed me. It's like he lies to her.
It's like a bit like an idiot plot, as they call it, like where people don't just all you had to do was explain. Oh, my boss has asked me to go out for a drink to discuss a work thing.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know at that point that she was going to try and come on to him, so he wasn't doing anything wrong by being there.
No.
They go to a Canadian restaurant.
They do,
and the waiter is dressed as a Mountie. Yeah. And he says, would you like the chocolate mousse? And it's a moose's head.
That's brilliant, yeah. Oh, God, there's so many gags.
It's the non-stop gag fest, the second film.
Absolutely.
But they're most of them are good gags, so it's okay.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because I watched it with my partner, and I thought she likes the first film, but she couldn't really remember the second one. I thought, she's going to think this is really silly. She doesn't really like comedy.
Yeah. She doesn't like, she hates fun.
But she actually, weirdly, really quite enjoyed it. She was like, oh, yeah, it's silly, but she got into it, and so did I, because I thought as well, this is just going to be a bit shit.
But it's not.
But it's not. It's weirdly quite entertaining.
I think it's partly because the Gremlins are likeable because they're funny. They do funny things.
There's that. Oh, so the other reason I wanted to go back as well is because Gizmo. So obviously he's with Mr. Wing, but Mr. Wing dies.
He's the last. So Clamp is trying to do a property development scheme in Chinatown, and Wing is the last person who's holding out and won't sell.
Yeah.
But then when he dies, that's it. They can bulldoze the shop. Gizmo escapes, and I think he flukily bumps into Billy, does he?
Oh, no, he gets captured by the guy who's in Terminator 2.
Well done.
The twin guy.
Yeah, which we touched on last time. So in Terminator, there's a scene where a sort of fat security guard gets killed by the T-1000 who mimics him.
Yeah.
And I think we said in our episode that was actually played by a pair of twins.
Yeah.
Those twins are in this film as a scientist working on cloning technology.
Yeah, who's cloned himself.
It's implied that he's cloned himself, which is really funny.
But he finds Gizmo
In the street.
and they take him to their lab.
Horrible
in
gene
Clamp.
splicing lab.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. That's how he gets in there in the first place.
And that's how Billy finds him,
Yes.
goes up to the floor, because...
I think, does Gizmo escape from the lab? Or does
he... It was something to do with the tune he whistled.
I think... Oh, the
He
mailman.
hears somebody whistling, that's it, and he said, I heard it upstairs.
Hey,
He hears the mailman whistling the tune that Gizmo used to...
Hey, I might close the episode with that tune.
That's a good idea. And then he said, where did you hear that? And he's like, oh, upstairs.
Splice. Is it called Splice of Life?
Possibly.
I think the lab's called Splice of Life.
So many gags, that one probably did get past.
And Christopher Lee as the...
That's amazing.
There's a bit where his receptionist is ill. I think he offers her a handkerchief and she sneezes into it, it's all snotty. And then he gives it to someone else and he goes, have this tissue analysed.
Yeah, because he wants his flu
germs
haven't been shipped in yet.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's great.
He is horrible. And obviously he's parodying himself. He's like, he speaks like this throughout. I think he's the only person who dies in it, apart from Mr. Wing of old age. But Christopher Lee... Oh, you know what his name is? The scientist played by Christopher Lee is called Dr. Catheter.
Amazing.
Apparently that's the character's name.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Brilliant.
And then,
brilliant.
So Billy manages to rescue...
Giz.
Puts him in his drawers, but then gets accosted by his boss to go out for the aforementioned meal.
I think Gizmo gets a bit fed up in the drawer.
Although I was kind of like, come on, Gizmo.
I had the same. He pissed me off. Because you know what happens? Just stay in the fucking drawer.
You've just been rescued. They were doing all kinds of experiments on you. Surely just...
Chill out for a bit.
Just wait it out one night.
Idiot. Gets wet.
Fucking idiot.
I know. So my sympathy's turned against him. I kind of wanted Spike to just kill him at this point. Because Spike just tortures him for the whole film.
Yeah.
The rest of the Gremlins do all the carnage. All Spike does for the whole movie is just torment Gizmo and drive toy trains into him.
And this one as well, there are like a few different... It's not just Spike that's like...
distinct personalities.
Yeah. There's the one that's like really stupid.
Like Daffy Duck type, woohoo, kind of...
The one with his like weird eyes. Like,
he's kind of scary.
And the best one is the one that has the... Because obviously in Christopher Lee's lab, they're doing all these kind of experiments. And he gets the intelligence... he is brilliant.
So he's played by a guy called... Hang on, I must admit I don't sort of know this actor, but I think he was... probably quite famous.
I think I checked it as well, yeah.
Oh, Tony Randall. So
That's
apologies,
right.
People may know Tony Randall. I didn't know him, but he's like a sort of almost like a radio talk show host, but it's a gremlin.
He was so good in it.
Let's talk about what's going on in this room.
Yeah.
And it's really funny, and he does a big musical number at the end, doesn't he?
Yeah, the musical
Sings New York.
number.
Oh,
Christ.
in fact, well, I'll put that. I'm going to lob that in here.
Yeah, you've got to.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I wanna be a part of it. New York, New York, yes sir. These vagabond shoes are longing to stray and step around the hall a bit. New York, New York.
These guys aren't bad. Incredible as it might seem, ladies and gentlemen, after their bizarre, blood-curdling rampage of destruction, these strange creatures now appear to be mounting what seems to be a musical number.
Well, hope you enjoyed that.
Nicely done. The magic of technology. Yeah, he is, and he becomes the main gremlin. So Spike is not the main villain of this film.
No.
Because Spike gets killed off by Gizmo. Just decides to turn into Rambo. And,
Yeah, because he
puts a
saw
headband on.
Rambo, didn't he, on the TV or something.
And he kills him with like a bow and arrow on fire.
Yeah.
By which point Spike's turned into a spider gremlin.
Because he injected himself with the spider gremlin.
And there's a bat gremlin.
Bat gremlin who goes out and then ends up turning to a stone gargoyle.
Which is kind of a good gag.
Yeah.
And of course, there's an electricity gremlin, which they're getting a bit silly by this point. But one
which
of them
can travel through
telephone wires.
That's ridiculous. Oh, and just the bat gremlin is able to go outside because...
what is it, like intravenous sunblock?
Yeah.
It injects him with this, like...
So why didn't they all just try to take it?
Why didn't he just inject it with him? Anyway.
And then they could have all just gone...
Massive plot hole. Because the reason the gremlins don't go on a massive rampage is because they're waiting for the dark.
Yeah.
They're waiting for the sun to go down, then they can bugger off out into the city. So they all amass in the lobby.
And that becomes part of the plan to kill them all, is that we're going to pretend it's dark so they leave the building, but actually
it's light. But then there's a massive storm, so it's dark anyway.
It's dark anyway.
But then they're able... The plan B is that they release the...
Futterman.
Fire. Yes, Futterman beats them all up. Goddamn gremlins! They squirt them all with a hose, which of course would cause them to multiply, which seems like a terrible idea. But while they're all wet, they unleash the electricity gremlin and he electrocutes them all and they all die. And somehow the electric gremlin disappears, which isn't really explained, but hey-ho. And Clamp himself has quite a big role in the film.
He does, yeah.
He's not horrible, even though he's meant to be based on kind of Trump and Ted Turner, but
he's not, is he? No, head of security was a real cop.
Scumbag, yeah, he's the corporate dick.
Yeah.
Whereas Clamp is meant to be
he's all right,
a bit daft, like a bit silly, delusional, like delusions of grandeur. So he's like, yes, we can do this for the people. And there's a bit, he kills one gremlin in a shredder, doesn't he? He shreds one in his office shredder.
That's right.
Because it's pretending to be his secretary. And he's just like talking on the phone, going, it's just a gremlin. I'm trying to think if there's any other major points in Gremlins 2 that we haven't covered. It is, as you said, just a series of highlights, one after the other, amazing gags.
Just Clamp as well, I was just making sure of this. He's in Scrooged as Bryce Cummings. Hayden, one of occasional guest host on the Dark Natter, loves Scrooged.
Brilliant. Maybe we should get him on to do that.
Could do that next year, actually.
There you go, Christmas special sorted.
Hey.
Yes. Oh, just when.
In fact, Christmas Carol in general is quite
Muppet Christmas Carol.
Quite dark.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
It's got a scary Ghost of Christmas Future in the Muppet one.
We could just do Christmas Carol and all of its
glory.
Yeah, all of media adaptations and whatnot.
Hulk Hogan's in one of them.
Is he?
No. Just we wish.
He's in Gremlins 2, and yeah, what a film.
Did I make any other notes? Anything else we forgot? Oh, there's the Billy's mate is that old washed up actor who has to play a vampire. It's like the guy from the Munsters.
Oh yeah, the guy from the Munsters. Yeah, he's mates with him, isn't he? Yeah. And he ends up becoming like a hotshot news journalist,
like he always wanted to be.
Yeah,
his dream.
He's basically got a camera, and he's the one inside filming it all, getting the scoop.
And there's that woman, another washed up old woman who's doing like the
cookery,
and she's like, "Oh, get the sherry. Some use a dash." Globs a massive swing of it. I use a lot.
What's it called? Like Meatloaf with Marge? Is it Marge?
Yeah, and she's doing microwavable
microwaving Marge.
Yeah,
it's
she's
like
microwaving cooking.
Yeah, really bad.
The Gremlins put loads of utensils in the microwave, blow it up. Oh, funny.
So many gags.
But so I ended up, I think, rewatching Gremlins 1. I've watched it a million times, love it. Gremlins 2, like you, I hadn't watched it for years, and I was like, it's not as good. But I ended up really loving that as well.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'd watch it again. I'd definitely watch it again.
Funny. And there'll be things you missed as well. That
definitely, yeah.
I'm sure there's stuff we failed to cover in our ramshackle whistle-stop tour. But
I mean, it was probably mentioned, so why hasn't there been a third film?
Brilliant, yeah.
Because of the second one, that's why.
Well, I think it's because the second one bombed.
Yeah.
So because it was so stupid, no one wanted to watch it. So although the first one was commercially successful, apparently the second one was not. And that's probably the primary reason why sequels don't get made, right? If they don't think they're going to make any money. But this just feels like one of those cult following, survey 100 people, and if you ignore the young ones who wouldn't remember it, everyone in that group would be like, oh yeah, I'd watch Gremlins 3.
Yeah.
And again, anecdotally, I think Zach Galligan has been like touting this script around. And then I also read that Christopher Columbus, the producer, he has written a script for a third one, like years ago, but just hasn't sort of got round to making it. So it feels like there's kind of rumblings that it might actually happen.
Yeah, I feel like, especially now with so many, even if it was potentially a reboot, perhaps.
But puppets, please. No CGI.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, because if it was no puppets and it was all CGI, it might just be crap. Or would it?
Well, I kind of think it'd be crap anyway. But
what story can you even tell?
Yeah.
You've done Gremlins ruin Christmas in a small town.
You'd almost have to do a direct if you didn't reboot it, you'd almost have to do a direct sequel to the first one.
Yeah,
ignoring the
second one. And like I read somewhere like, oh, Gremlins in Vegas, and it's like, yeah, but what? Why is that funny? Why is Vegas is already a hedonistic people letting their hair down, going nuts, gamble it. Getting the Gremlins to just go and gamble and smoke that's what they do. The funny thing is if you take them somewhere where it's inappropriate to do those things. So Gremlins at a yoga retreat, that'd be funny. Like ruining all the yoga stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a script.
Let's get this written, actually. Where else would be a good place to unleash some Gremlins?
Well, it's just difficult, isn't it? Because I don't know, how would you do it better? You can't really go bigger than they
already did.
Too. And if you went back to the small town thing, it would just be a rehash of the
I like to see
one.
Gremlins in the Brexit negotiations.
Yeah.
That'd be quite good. Like
COVID Gremlins. I don't know.
Sneezing on everybody. We're trying to make it topical.
Yeah.
What else has happened? COVID, Brexit, and
PlayStation 5's come out.
Yeah, Gremlins smashing up PlayStations. Yeah, I'm struggling. Any ideas?
Nice little segue though. I did actually, as part of my research, I always do a lot of research for these shows. Don't phone it in, despite the rumours. I did actually play quite a few Gremlins video games, and actually quite a few of them were all right.
Fun.
There was a NES one, Nintendo Entertainment System. I think it came out in '80. I'm not sure actually when it came out. But it's kind of like a top-down game. You play as Gizmo. You're going around. It's based on Gremlins 2, and it was quite fun. I quite
like the idea of playing as Gizmo as well.
Yeah, and you just go around sort of shooting things, and had the big bouncy tomatoes and things from the science lab, spiders and whatnot. And there was a really weird. Well, the first one I think was 1984, and it was on the Atari, and there's like 7 hamburgers lined up on the floor and Gremlins dropping down from a roof, and you've got to catch them before they land and get the food.
Weird.
It's just a really like
with limited game mechanics. How do you make? So they're thinking, oh, we've got to make a game out of Gremlins because Gremlins is successful. What possible game could we play? Oh, I know, a hamburger catching game.
So it's probably just they had a game. It's like, oh, there's this game where you got to stop these things, catch these things before they land.
Just graft a gremlin into
and just grafted the things dropping the gremlins, the things are trying to get hamburgers, and you play as Billy just walking. And there's other ones as well where you have to rescue like Mogwai before they're gremlins and put them in the corner whilst avoiding getting them wet, and they're really basic stuff.
But quite,
but also the text adventure.
I remember finding that quite atmospheric.
It is
on the spectrum when I had it when I was about 6 or whatever.
Yeah, it was all right. I think if you knew.
Yeah, the problem was it was rock hard and you didn't know what you were doing. Yeah, go north, you're dead. You've been ripped.
Yeah, it was literally like the first thing I typed in. What did they do? I think they threw a dart at me and killed me
with the dart.
With the dart, yeah. And it's like, so I spent about 10 minutes just getting darted to death.
And then gave up. Go north, dart.
Yeah, but no, there was some fun little video games actually.
Well. I might sum up, if I may, my pitch to you for Christmas, asking you to, apply some festive good spirit in your assessment of this pitch. I think the Gremlins franchise deserves a place in the Hall of Pain because Gremlins 1 is a really, really, really good film, and Gremlins 2 is also really good and
It's
hilarious,
better,
and is arguably better in some ways.
I don't need any convincing, buddy. I've not even got a joke.
No,
They're in.
Hey!
They're in.
What do you think about that brain gremlin? Yes, excellent news. I intend to use this as a platform for my future career. I didn't have a joke like that.
We've got a few characters like this.
They
as
can.
well.
They can have a. We can have them, can't we?
I like it. Yeah, absolutely. And really good films. I not convinced the world needs another one. But
Yeah, maybe it's better to just leave
Maybe.
them as a nice little pair of at least one Christmas. You know, regardless of whether you consider it a Christmas movie, it is Christmassy enough to justify its inclusion on this Christmas special.
Absolutely. And watch it at Christmas.
Yeah,
Do yourself a favour, watch it.
yeah. By the time this comes out, it will be about Christmas because that's why we're releasing it. So yeah, if you have got nothing else planned, watch Gremlins.
They're on Sky. I think you can watch them on Now TV or Sky, whatever.
Brilliant.
Otherwise, you can rent them on Amazon.
Or you
Prime.
could probably buy them on DVD
You can buy them on DVD
or VHS if you look on
and
eBay.
get the alternative. Well, actually,
There you
that's
go.
a good thing. I wonder if there's a Blu-ray with that alternative footage on.
There must be. It's like an extra. Must
Good.
be. That's a good shout.
But yeah, and hey, if you've got like a NES or anything, play the old Gremlins game, Gremlins 2.
Or a Spectrum.
Yeah,
Play the text adventure. Or if
might
you
need a
got,
little help.
if you got a pen, you could draw a picture of a gremlin.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you've got a crayon, you could draw a
We're
slightly
doing
worse
what we
picture of it.
always
Yeah,
do. Aren't
yeah.
We? Plodding on. I thought, did we?
I even thought of a sign off and then I forgot it
Oh.
again. I was going to be like, should we sign off with like a, well, until next time, watch out for gremlins or something.
I hate you,
Yeah, maybe that.
you prick.
There you go. That works.
Let's do it.
Okay. I hate you, you prick.
Thank you. Oh, and you too, prick.
That's it.
And Merry Christmas.
Oh,
And God bless us one and all.
isn't it? God bless us everyone.
I don't know.
Tiny Tim, you prick.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, have a good one. Be safe and
Yeah.
sound.
And hopefully, and let's hope 2021's a better year, eh?
It definitely will be.
reckon?
2020 has been shite. I've had some good things happen to me
Mind
this
you,
year. I
I've
feel
had-
a bit bad.
I've had an alright time.
Quite an alright year, but I still think 2021 will be
Yeah.
vaccinated.
Yeah.
No Trump.
Yeah.
No Clamp because
Yeah.
he's not real.
No Bryce Cummings.
No Bryce Cummings because he isn't in any.
And join us next year for more Dark Natter.
Yeah, be your turn. Oh, you can ponder that over your festive break.
We could have ended it there.
Ah, damn it. Well, that's all from us for our festive special. I'm going to release this on Boxing Day, I think, so we hope you had a brilliant Christmas day by the time you're listening to this. And if you haven't watched Gremlins yet, then you hopefully get time today while you're tidying away the wrapping paper and eating the leftovers of your turkey, or your nut roast if you are vegetarian. We'll be back in the new year with more shows, more guests, more weird skits, more crap jokes, and more dark fiction dissected. In the meantime, if you want to give us a Christmas present, we would really appreciate it if you'd leave us a festive 5-star review or follow us on Twitter at @dark_natter. That is all from me, Liam, Spike, Gizmo, David Lynch, Dracula, and the rest of the Hall of Pain. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you soon.